Hi, I'm Angela, and this is Psychology for Christians, and we're talking about the commandment, stealing. Yeah. So a couple interesting things. First one is, like the other commandments on murder, which we talked about, hate, and adultery, where we talked about even to look at someone and lust after them and not remain connected with your spouse is a form of adultery. So too with stealing. It's not just about taking something that doesn't belong to you, or shoplifting, which is a rampant problem, and kleptomania is actually really common in like upper middle class and higher society. So there's a hole in their heart, and you need to fill it with adrenaline rush, feeling powerful, feeling in control, whatever it is. And from a psychology point of view, that it's revealing that there's something going on that really I'd encourage you to reach out and get help for. Because yes, the stealing is, bad, but really what's causing you to do that, I think there's something else going on there that you would benefit from getting some support and working through, and certainly some accountability. Tell your friends what's going on, because you just don't want to live a life where you're having to do external things to feel some kind of normalcy, some kind of real, like, I guess people talk about adrenaline rush because it makes them feel like grounded and real. So there's other descriptions. Go ahead and put in the link below. If you know someone, or you want to remain anonymous, you can just say, oh, well, I know somebody. And this is what they've told me, how they're feeling when they're stealing. Because I think that there's just a lot of negative advantages. We call them negative advantages, because the brain's like, yeah, this is an advantage. I'm getting euphoric. Like, I'm getting a high from this. I'm getting something out of this. Why would I want to change? And then the intellectual side of you is like, well, because this is wrong and I could get caught and go to jail or get a fine. And so there's this battle going on in your mind, and really you have to actually embrace the advantages. And so you might want someone skilled to help you do that. I recommend the Feeling Good Institute. They've got therapists all throughout the US and Canada, and actually got some in different parts of the world as well. So anywho, that's one aspect of stealing and how it affects our psychology, is the actual act of stealing and what that's like. So that's one way to look at. But stealing can be expanded, like I said, just like the other commandments. Did you know you could steal someone's time by being late? You could steal someone's energy by not appreciating what they've done for you and just always demanding and never being thankful. You could steal someone's affections. In fact, my favorite author talks about that one, how you could court someone just to get what you want out of the relationship, but really you have no intention of having anything long term, but you hint that you do have intention. So it's a form of lying, but it's actually stealing, because the other person, they're giving their heart to you or them. Well, I'm always doing these videos so that you own whatever you're going through, not to like bash somebody else over the head. So I'm always talking to you as if you're the problem child. All right? You're the problem child. Just like me, I'm the problem child. I can totally relate to you. Trust me, I'm a problem child. I got caught shoplifting when I was less than 5 years old. And my mom didn't actually catch me until later at home. And I was terrified. She'd hear the Tic Tacs. I don't know if they were Tic Tacs. Anyways, they were a noisy candy in a plastic container. And even at that young age, I knew it was wrong. Like, there's just that inherent moral code that's kind of written in our DNA. Evidence for creation, by the way. And it's like, I was terrified. I was so relieved. When I got caught. My mom made me go back and apologize at the store, and it was just horrible. And yet there's a life lesson in psychology, because I learned I did not want to have to do that again. I did not want to have to talk to a stranger, for one thing. I had such social anxiety. And that was like the worst punishment she could have ever dreamed up, was like I have to go talk to the stranger and tell him I stole from his store and confess. But it also just really left an impression on my mind. My mom was really calm about it. And you know, she didn't take it personally and start saying, oh, I'm a terrible mother because I raised a child that was stealing. I mean, she might have done that, but she didn't reveal it to me because I was pretty young and we didn't really come up and talk about it later in life. So, and so that helped me to just own the problem and not feel like, I didn't feel like I was a bad person. I did a bad thing. And I think that's an important part of learning and growing in psychology. So, okay, so we shifted a little bit. So of course we talked about actual stealing and how that affects your psyche, or if you have a wounded heart, mind, how it can lead you to stealing, certainly with kleptomania, but also, I mean, let's face it, with drug addiction, drugs are really expensive. And so most people, well, I shouldn't say most, I don't know the stats, but a lot of people have to steal or do some other method to try and get more money because the drugs are so expensive. So that's a double whammy. And if you're struggling with drug and alcohol addiction, I encourage you to just go find an NA or an AA meeting. They aren't always the end all for your therapy, but they are a great beginning. And from there you can, you know, blossom and grow once you can get some support. So, okay, so we covered those, and then we covered stealing, you know, the expansion of the stealing, like, you know, stealing someone's affections, their heart, their time, and what that does to each other and our connection with each other, because that's part of practical psychology and psychology for Christians. We're here to learn about Jesus, get closer to Jesus, and bring others to Jesus, right? Because really, what else matters, honestly? Because that's where all the joy comes from, because he's the God of love. He ordained love. He wrote it into our code. I mean, all of the natural laws actually speak toward this. Sometimes it's more difficult to see, like the law of gravity. It's like, how does that tell us about God's love? But it doesn't. I'm not going to, well, that's a hint for another video. Anyway, I hope that this has been helpful to you. Stealing was a little bit more difficult for me to come up with, like, actual psychology tools, but certainly we can learn lessons from the damage that it can cause, and that can help us to seek help. And it's never too late, by the way, never too late to get help and to find joy. So please leave your comments below. Let me know if you're struggling with stealing or some kind of stealing, and you know, what are your thoughts? What other things can be stolen? Yeah, not just time and, you know, hearts. What else? I'd love to hear your comments below. So please be kind, because we're all real people with real problems and real feelings. Thank you for watching.